Number one thing I tell clients and what I believe how investors approach things anyways is investors don't invest in deals, they invest in sponsors.
If you're within 3 feet of me, we're probably talking about real estate, much to my family's chagrin. But here's the thing. Most people see 7% rates and freeze. I see opportunity. They're waiting for the perfect deal, and well, I've analyzed thousands of them, and perfect just doesn't exist. So I talk to operators across every asset class, flippers, multifamily syndicators, note investors, and whatever else is working. No sales pitches allowed, just real lessons from people actually doing it. I'm Ed Matthews, and this is Real Estate Underground. Greetings and salutations, Real Estate Undergrounders. It is Ed Matthews with the Real Estate Underground. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. I'm really excited about this conversation we're about to have. Selfishly speaking, I'm doing something that this man is an expert at, so I'm going to be picking his brain from an Ed perspective as well, but hopefully you get something out of it. We'll keep the audience in mind as well. So Shams Merchant, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the show, and it's good to see you, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me, Ed. Big fan and really happy to finally get to be on the show.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah. I elicited out of you that you actually are a listener. And so besides my mother, my wife, and so that's about it. I think
you got a lot more listeners than that than you give credit for.
There's a bunch out there. So I'm grateful for you and everybody else too. So for those folks who haven't discovered you or the CRE Law Group, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living?
Yeah. In a really basic sense, I'm a real estate securities attorney. So structure syndications, investment funds for clients all across the country and internationally as well. So everything from a basic standard syndication to go acquire, say, a multifamily property, all the way up to your very complex 100 million plus investment funds ran by a large private equity group. So everything from that to the other end of the spectrum, I handle all of it. Also represent clients in the actual acquisition and disposition of these properties. So as a pure real estate lawyer, which is what my original training was when I graduated law school, before I shifted more to doing private placement structuring and security structuring. So we help our clients with that as well. And we like to think of ourselves as a full service shop, everything from the legal structuring to the acquisitions to the sales. And then even nowadays, we consult our clients and advise them on capital raising strategies, marketing strategies, everything else, because I'm also in the business myself as a private equity entrepreneur and investment firm owner. We brought all of it in-house and we're able to guide our clients through the full process from the beginning stages of just putting together an investment vehicle, all the way to successfully raising the capital, buying the deal, selling the deal, making money, and everything in between.
Gotcha. Yeah. So your career is fascinating because it's in my old world of technology, it's a fairly classic story of leaving big and going small. But in the world of the legal world, I thought the holy grail was to work for big firms.
It used to be, and I think it used to be for sure. And that's what I was attracted to the big firm is the reason I was attracted to go to a big firm as well was that reason, right? I thought it was the holy grail.
When I you left
there. So I did make it there. And then you find out what the reality is. For me, it was, I think when I look back at it, I think it was a good decision to go to a big firm because I did learn a lot. I got to work with a lot of large clients and I got to get a lot of great experience. That's what I took with me when I left. So I did get a lot of value out of being there. It wasn't the best place for me to build my career, but there was a lot of value that was provided. And nowadays, I get to give that value to my clients because I learned so much there. Cool story. Got to work with a couple of billionaires there, the actual Forbes ranked billionaires. If you Google them, the little list comes up on Forbes and it says their actual net worth. It tracks their net worth changes on a weekly, monthly basis or something. I don't know how Forbes tracks it, but these are actual billionaires. So it's really cool getting to work for them and their investment firms. And now I have all that knowledge and I can take that to help my clients build institutional quality funds and syndications and all of that because I've seen it done on a very big scale. I know how to now do it on a diverse basis.
Sure.
So,
what's interesting, I had a friend of mine, and I'm going to ask this question because he asked me, and I told him he was out of his ever-loving mind, and I want you as the professional to tell him why, because I know he's listening right now. And that is, Why can't I just use ChatGPT to create my offering memorandum and other PPM documents?
Oh, yeah, I get this question these days on a weekly basis. There's a handful of reasons, but I'm going to give you just a few of them without
Yeah.
belaboring the point.
They all end in
Um,
major lawsuits, by the way, right?
yes. Well, the biggest thing, the biggest reason clients use lawyers at the end of the day is it's a risk shifting mechanism, right? We have malpractice insurance. We can mess up on things and still be okay, right? Of course, we don't do that, but we have insurance for
You're
that.
human, so
But the point is that if you create your own documents, one, ChatGPT, Claude, you name it, I've tried all of them. I use AI. I love using AI. AI can be a great tool. They don't create the offerings in a way that is SEC tested, like battle tested documents with the SEC, right? Because they don't have access to those.
Right.
They don't know which documents, which structures have already been tested, have already been litigated with the SEC. They don't have that information. Our documents, our structures have been iterated over 1,000 times, right?
Right.
We know what works, we know what doesn't. We know what should be in there and what shouldn't. And that's the thing that the AI can't figure out yet is what should be in there and what shouldn't is a discretion.
Right.
It's not, it's experience item. That's what you're missing when you do that, right? And then I tell my clients at the end of the day, if you do that and something goes wrong, the first question people are going to ask you is, who was your law firm? Who counseled you on this deal? And if you say I did it, I can tell you you're already in deep shit.
Yeah,
Excuse my language.
it's
You're gonna be even in more shit when if that's how you respond, right? So because you never shifted the risk and to a professional to do it for you, right? And then the final thing I'll add is these days with AI, document delivery has been expedited to some level, right? We can get documents out faster. We can draft things faster. We can use data and build things quicker we have proprietary systems in-house that we've built to do some of this. But that's not the value that we provide to our clients, right? The value that we provide why clients engage us is because we have a pulse on the market and the data on what works and what doesn't, right? Again, the discretion on what should be in there and what shouldn't. That's something AI is not going to give you. That's what you're paying for. You're not paying for a stack of documents to use. You're paying for the strategic business and legal advice that is going to make you successful in your raise, in your business objectives. Anybody can hand you a bunch of documents. I'm handing you the success of a successful offering.
Yeah.
That's what I'm delivering.
Thank you for saying that. So the other question I had around that is, I'm curious about when we talk about the shift of risk. I'm curious about what now you and your firm represent both general partners and limited partners. So let's talk about the LP side first. What are limited partners looking for these days in terms of what are the green lights and what are the yellow lights and what are the red lights in terms of things that some of your, without getting specific, obviously, some of your clients are looking for and concerned about?
Yeah, I'll start with the first one, which was we just talked about AI, right? Sophisticated investors can spot from a mile away that you've used AI to create documents and things like that. It's very easy to figure out if they have invested in deals before because they know what to look for and they're going to be able to figure it out very quickly. It's a question that they'll ask, a sophisticated investor will ask oftentimes as well as, who are your advisors, right? Who's the law firm that's representing you? Who's your CPA, right? These are questions that good LPs typically ask because they want to know who's backing you. They want to know who your support system is. So that's the first thing, right? That's the first thing right off the bat. The second thing is aligning economics with what LPs are looking for in the market today, right? LPs don't want to see some crazy sophisticated waterfall model with 5 different hurdles and a bunch of crap in there. I always tell clients, we can make it as complicated as you want. We've done very complicated waterfall models. There's a time and place to do them. And it has to be a reason why we're doing it. And we're not just doing it just to do it to make it overly complicated, right? Especially when you're raising capital from retail investors, you want to err on the side of just making it more simple. Yeah. Because if they can't understand what they're investing in, then you've lost them.
Sure.
So that's what they're looking for. They're looking for economics are aligned, but also not overly complicated. They don't want bloated fees, right? They don't want you stacking 7 different fees that you're charging them, right? You want to take fees. You want to take good fees. You want to take reasonable fees. You want to take market-driven fees, but you don't want to stack 7, 10 different types of fees, right? There's a way to do it, not align. When you stack fees like that, you're not aligning yourself with the deal. That's the problem, right? And there are ways to still take a lot of fees and still align those fees to the actual economics of the deal, such as clawback of acquisition fees or disposition fees if the project doesn't hit certain metrics, right? So LPs look for that these days, right? They look for clawback, right? They don't want you taking a disposition fee if you don't even make a profit to them of a certain certain return. Like, why would you get paid? Why do you deserve to get paid that disposition fee if you didn't even hit certain metrics? So adding in those little nuances there, they're gonna see that, and it's gonna help from a marketing perspective too. That, oh, hey, I'm cool with this GP taking a 2% disposition fee, but I like that it says in the documents that if they don't hit some of the return metrics, then that fee gets clawed back to the LP so that the LPs can get a better return.
So is the expectation the preferred interest rate return plus, and then that triggers a clawback, or is it?
Yeah, it can be structured in multiple different ways. It depends on how you want to do it, but in a most basic sense, it's a combination, right? We're looking at the overall return, right? Like, let's say you're projecting a 17% IRR, right? You want to have the clawback to where if you're not hitting, let's say 14%, then the fees get clawed back so the LPs can try getting closer to that 17% projected return, right? Something like that shows that you have your
skin
goal.
in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Number two thing I'll quickly mention is that LPs are definitely looking for GP contributions these days, and that if you're not putting in a GP contribution, then LPs don't feel like you're aligned with them. Before, it wasn't as big of a deal. These days, LPs have become smarter. They're making sure that the GP contribution is actual cash out of your pocket, not some GP contribution tied to the fact that you're moving the acquisition fee that you're getting of 2% and using that as a GP contribution into the deal. And that's a no-no. Before you could do that, you could still do that to some extent, depends on who your investors are. But if you really want to level the playing field, if you really want to attract good capital, you have to put in a pure GP cash contribution. Nothing
actually write a check.
Actually write a check. Yeah.
Right on. Awesome.
Those are some two big things that we've been seeing.
Okay. And so let's shift to the GP side a little bit. Obviously, the predominant models here are 506B, 506C. I know what I've been advised by our attorneys, and I'm curious what your perspective is on. I'm curious about the considerations for each, and what do you think the pros and cons are?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
A motivated seller just filled out your web form. If you call back within 5 minutes, you're nearly 4 times more likely to get that seller appointment. But delay your follow-up by even just 10 minutes? Forget it. You're toast. Ella Vista Connect calls that lead back in 60 seconds, qualifies them, and schedules your meeting. Find out how much slow follow-up is costing you. Free calculator at ellavista.com/underground.
Yeah, that's definitely a loaded question. There's a lot of pros and cons.
Unintentionally.
Yeah. Let me give you the best answer that I give to all my clients that ask me this, like the most fundamental question. Okay. The fundamental question comes down, in my opinion, to your ability to raise capital, right? Because of the limitations that 506B places on you to go raise capital, right? You can't solicit under B, as we all know.
Right.
That's a huge drawback to using B. So what I tell clients is, if you're going to use a B, right? My default, let me put it this way, my default is C, right? I recommend always C. Here's what I recommend a B. So
in the interest of full disclosure, that's what I was counseled to do as well.
Perfect. Your attorney knows what they're doing.
Yeah, which is good.
And here's why I default to the C and only recommend B in certain circumstances is that because of that limitation of non-solicitation, you only want to use B if it's a small raise or you have built out a robust and deep investor base that you can tap into. If you have that, right? Let's say you've been in this game, you've been doing deals for a decade now. At that point, and you have, let's say, $500 million AUM, right? You have $500 million AUM, you have a bunch of investors, you've been doing these deals. For sure, you can do a 506B if you're because you have such a deep network, you can probably raise $10, $15 million by just your own network because you've been building it out for a decade. But if you're a first-time syndicator, you're a first-time investor, you're it's your first or second offering, you're going to need to go into the market to solicit capital unless you know someone that's going to give you the money you need. And if you're going to have to go solicit, then you have to just default. If that's not the case, right? If you're raising $10 million, and you don't have that network, and it's your second or third, fourth offering, and you don't have that robust, deep network of investors, you have to be a C. By default, you have to go under 506C because you don't have an option. You cannot be handcuffed to just pre-existing relationships under a B. Right?
You only know so many human beings.
You only know so many, right? Look, there's exceptions. Got a client. He's an NBA player. Can't tell you who it is, but he's an NBA player. He's actually an NBA player close to where you are in the Northeast, plays for a team in the Northeast. And he is recently doing more real estate investing, and he's raising capital. He's doing deals. The exception for him is he can do a B because he has access to a lot of high net worth accredited. He has a bunch of teammates. He's NBA
text threads with a couple $100 million worth of net worth.
Easily. And so he can do a B, right? There's certain situations and there's a time and place to do a B, and that's a particular person that can do a B. For most people, they're going to want to do a C because they need to go solicit capital. That's end of story.
And one of the things that was interesting about your firm and is your fee structure and how you work with clients, right? And I don't want to get into the sales part of this. I really just want to understand from an operation perspective, what's your philosophy in terms of, I think the term you use is over lawyering, right?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
That's one thing we don't do. We're deal makers. And like I said, I'm in the business myself. So I always approach things from a practical aspect as if I'm the one sitting on the other side of the table, because that's how I counsel clients the way I want to be counseled as an investor myself, as an entrepreneur myself. So we approach everything practically, right? Everything is on a flat fee basis. You're never on the clock with us. I don't limit my clients to revisions to documents. We can make 100 revisions if you want, right? Within reason, but clients, if you respect clients and their time and you don't limit them and you give them the flexibility, they'll respect you and your time. I've never had a client abuse that ever. So that's how we approach things. It's flat fees. You're never on the clock with us. We're strategic counsel to you. You call us, email us, text us whenever you want, and you're never worried about getting a bill. And I have a lot of clients like that because in between a lot of their large offerings, they have a lot of other things going on and they want to talk to us and they want to have conversations about, I want to do this in the next deal I want to do, or the next project that I want to do is going to be this. I want to talk to you about how to structure this. All of that, there's never a fee for any of those things. Once you're a client, you're a client. We're never going to bill you unless we're putting pen to paper to do an actual offering or a deal. Otherwise, we value that as just part of doing business.
Yeah,
so that's how we operate.
It's a
long-term relationship. Yeah,
right on.
And that's why we have a really high client retention rate, because clients love that. They love the access to great legal counsel without having to spend $500 on a meeting or something. That's just stupid.
Yeah, I once joked with a firm we were working with, not my present representation, but that you guys can't find your car keys for less than a few $100 an hour. And
it's a good example.
I offended them, and the relationship didn't last much longer. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, a good example also is I recently started doing this with a client. So they're a very large family office that has a lot of money coming in from Latin America. So they're actually a family office in the States, but they manage money from other family offices that are spread across Latin America. And we have a standing meeting with them once a week just to catch up on projects and what's going on. They never get a bill for that. And when we started doing that, when I initially offered us to do that, because there's a lot going on, and I had to catch up with them once a week to make sure we're caught up on emails, make sure we're not missing anything. And we told them, we're not billing for this. I mean, they were thrilled. We got all their business.
I would be too, man. I'd get on a plane just to kiss you on the lips. I got to be honest with you. Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, right. I'll be in Dallas actually in a few months, but
look forward to
it. You don't have to kiss. We can just have coffee.
We can have coffee. Yeah.
My wife's a jealous woman. In terms of and I kid about that too, but in terms of as a private equity principal, what are you seeing in the marketplace? You're in Texas, right? I don't know. One thing I didn't uncover in my prep for this call was where you invest, but so I'm curious about that. And what are you seeing in the market?
Yeah, great questions all around. Let me answer the one where I invest first, straight off the bat. So all of the deals I've done so far have been in Texas. And that's just because I like to invest locally, as a lot of clients do, right? Yeah, including yourself, because that just makes the most sense. We understand our markets really well compared to other markets. So I'm not limited to just investing in Texas. It's just the deals I've done have been in Texas.
Sure. And you can always say limited partner with position with somebody in Georgia who knows that market. Right?
Well, sorry, let me actually clarify what we do, because I think we didn't really touch too much on that.
Yeah.
My fund actually is a feeder fund. It's a fund-to-fund model. I don't run my own deals. We invest in great sponsors like you. We invest in other people's funds. So I raise capital from accredited investors, and I analyze hundreds of deals, hundreds of offerings, and work with about 50 different sponsors right now. And we allocate LP capital to those sponsors. So that's how we invest. Yeah. So we're not running these deals. These are ran by institutional quality, great sponsors that have a clean track record and have achieved hit metrics that we look for before we decide to invest with a sponsor.
Yeah.
And number one thing I tell clients, and what I believe how investors approach things anyways, is investors don't invest in deals, they invest in sponsors.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious about the deals, the operators in which you do invest. Let's talk about asset classes. Where are you focused?
Yeah, we're asset agnostic. I've done land development. I've done build to rent, multifamily, and retail so far. Now we're looking into industrial warehouses. That's something that's hot right now in Texas with data centers.
It's hot everywhere.
So looking into a play for that. But we're asset agnostic. And so are my clients too. That's why we have access to all these deals, because my clients do everything from multifamily to, I would say it's still we started off as a firm predominantly representing multifamily syndicators. So the base is still heavy multifamily, right? Like still 40% plus, but the rest is spread out across different asset classes.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. It's smart, right? Because even this show, I think we were talking before we hit the record button about this show 3 years ago was entirely focused on multifamily, and mainly because that's what I was focused on. I went back to flipping and got interested in flex industrial and realized that manufacturing is being repatriated. About warehousing and, major
100%.
industrial, right? And so we've had guests talk about all that stuff.
But I'll tell you, Ed, I think even multifamily is making a strong comeback in the sense that, look, we had a lot of people jump into the space a couple of years ago, and it got a little crowded.
Yeah.
Right.
Turns out it's hard.
Yeah. Turns out.
Who would have thought?
What a surprise. Now, who's left now is a lot of the stronger operators, and it's less crowded than it was before. I've been telling a lot of clients who have asked me recently, should I get back into the multifamily space, or should I maybe look into doing built to rent or data centers or whatever is the next hot asset class? And I said, look, I honestly feel like the multifamily space is so much less crowded now that there's great opportunities. And that's where a lot of my operators that I work with are seeing too, because there is such a significantly less crowded space, because a lot of people got burned, unfortunately, right? And some of them were good operators too. I'm not saying that the people got burned weren't good operators. There were some actual really good operators that got burned.
Yeah, they got over-leveraged.
But just over-leveraged, and the market just skyrocketed, rates skyrocketed.
There's only a finite number of chairs, and when the music stops, you don't find a chair.
Yeah.
That's it.
But because of that, and everyone that's now out in the market, and now the new people that are too scared to now jump back into syndicating multifamily, there's created this opportunity for people that have some experience, that have done it before, to now jump back in and do it and find great deals. That's my personal opinion of the market right now.
Yeah, and I think in your part of the world, that's absolutely true.
Yeah,
because a lot of the deals that I get sent are from Texas, the Sun Belt. That is still
that's a big caveat. You're right. It's still Sun Belt. Sun Belt is still
Midwest is
Midwest.
Very high.
Yeah. North Carolina is great market right now too.
Yeah.
A lot of deals out there. South Carolina as well. North South Carolina. That northeast lower. What would you call that? Would you call this
southeast almost?
South. Yeah.
Well, I think if you're from Carolina, you would say that's the South.
That's the South.
If you're from the Northeast, that's the southern part of the Mid-Atlantic. But
I think it's a good market as well. Seeing a lot of good traction there and good opportunities for clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also curious about what you're seeing in terms of the market shift. You mentioned multifamily, but also we're also talking about flex industrial and warehousing and other things. Are you seeing as you're starting to see multifamily come back in your world, what are you seeing? Obviously, the government is trying really hard to repatriate manufacturing into the U.S.
Yeah, and I am
You're
seeing
seeing that.
I am seeing that. I am seeing on the industrial side, there's two products that are active that are ripe for more capital, more investments.
Sure.
One is obviously data centers, but those are very complicated and you can get burned easily if you don't know what you're doing in a data center space. There's a lot of large capital coming into that space, a lot of large private equity firms, and it's hard to compete with those guys. The flip side of that is flex industrial. Amazing asset class, great asset class, very high demand, and less competition and less big firms in the space. So smaller operators have the opportunity to be able to be involved in this space. We have clients that are doing flex space ground up developments and acquisitions all over the country. And obviously in Sunbelt and Texas where I'm based, but these are projects that are happening all over the country. And it's a good asset class to look into and to potentially invest in. So
yeah, flex industrial is interesting to me because, and I'm speaking Northeast specific, right? It's interesting to me in that you have a huge portion of the population here in Connecticut specifically, but the Northeast writ large, that has already paid off their house, right? Huge chunk have sub 4% mortgages. They're not going anywhere, right? Because the replacement cost of what they already have is too high.
Yep.
And you have, I'm going to guess, 2/3 of the market that isn't moving because of that, just that alone. And so what we're finding, what I see is plumbers, electricians, HVAC guys, kitchen renovators, bathroom renovators, they are thriving and they're not allowed to park their trucks in their neighborhood because it's an HOA and they frown upon pickup trucks with ladders hanging off the side. Yep. And so they need a place to park them and they need a place to put the materials and they need a place to meet with their clients. And here we are, right?
That's exactly the type of clientele that you would want in a flex industrial space. A lot of mechanic type shops as well, not heavy mechanic, but these people that wrap like, I don't know if you see the car wraps.
Yeah.
Very high margin business. Right. I know some very successful entrepreneurs in that space.
Oh yeah.
They do very well.
Yeah. They're also
those are great type of clients to have in a flex space. But you're absolutely right. I think with AI as well, there's been a lot of private equity money moving into the trades, right? HVAC, plumbing, all of that. Those businesses are growing more and there's more capital coming in from Wall Street into those businesses. We have clients who are buying that switch from real estate to buying those businesses instead.
Absolutely.
And raising capital to go do that because there's it's a moat against AI.
Sure.
AI can't automate any of that stuff.
Somebody has to replace that faucet, right?
Yes. And there's a high margin businesses too, usually with very sticky customers and no pun intended. And so that's why the flex space is growing naturally too, I think.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. And I had a friend of mine ask me, knowing what I know today, would I go to college? And the honest answer was, I was an English major with a mass comm minor, right? Do I use that? Yeah. But I learned how to write. Okay, fine. Yeah. But could I have learned that on YouTube? Yeah, maybe.
But these days, AI does most of the writing, though.
Yeah, I'm still a snob when it comes to that, though.
I know, me too.
I let it ideate, but I don't.
Sure.
I'm still a snob when it comes to writing, but I
don't
think. Yeah, but I'm an old guy, so I would imagine my kids and their kids will probably rely on AI to do a lot of that. But it's interesting in that the trades, in particular, unless you are a technical person, an accountant, an attorney, an engineer, that where you need to go to college, right? There's no other way to learn it. Us liberal arts people out there, would I go spend $400,000 on an education? Maybe not. And I went to a pretty good school.
It is something to consider. It's trade school. Trade schools, I think, that are great options, I think, these days. But even the legal profession, my opinion is there's going to be much less lawyers in the next couple of years. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
Hopefully no lawyers come and shoot me.
In all candor, I went into school with the intent of being an attorney, right? And I got about 6 months into my first year and thought, man, I just can't imagine being in my 50s negotiating contracts for a living.
Thank God you didn't do that, because in 5 years, AI is going to be negotiating most of the contracts.
But here's the thing, man. Now I'm in my mid 50s,
Yeah.
and I negotiate contracts pretty much on a daily basis. So I probably should have went to law school, but what are you going to do?
I still think it's a great decision not to go, because I'm telling you, with the way that the technology is changing, there's just going to be such a less need to have as many lawyers, right? There'll still be a need for lawyers. I'm not saying that we're going away.
Really good ones.
Yes, I'm just saying we're just going to be fewer there, because you don't need a team of 5 associates to run a $200 million deal. I could run a $200 million deal by myself with the technology that I have today. I could easily review everything and be on top of it, because I have so much, like, it's so powerful. It can do the work of 5 associates for me. I just needed a higher level of discretionary thinking and the strategic thinking with the client. That's what they're paying for at that point. The drafting, let me tell you something, Ed, and maybe, again, I hope no lawyers come and shoot me.
They don't even know where you live.
Don't give them my address. Today, I think that AI generally can redline a typical contract for me better than a first-year associate, because that AI that I have has been trained on 1,000 contracts that I've done, right? It knows exactly how I want to negotiate this one. And all I'm doing is then using discretion after the first pass, to go in and make decisions about what I want to fight with on an estate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right on.
That's it. That is the honest truth. I don't understand any firm right now charging clients $10,000, $15,000 to do a first pass of a contract. That's just stupid. There's no way. I don't know how you do that, because the technology can do it for you.
And it's interesting. Your industry, my old industry in technology, that whole concept of the junior associate or the junior programmer or the junior marketing person or the junior salesperson, all of those people are going away. The dynamic, to hang a left completely on our conversation, the thing I wonder, though, is you need baby lawyers, you need baby programmers to become adult lawyers and adult programmers, and you can't get adults if you don't have the babies, but the babies are getting wiped out by AI, and it's going to be a fascinating 10 years. Friend of mine, Cass Hogue, just sent me an author that I just was listening to a podcast of the author, Jeff Booth, and I just bought his book, Price of Tomorrow, which was like written, I want to say 2020, talking about deflation in the context of abundance, right? Which is what AI's promise is. And there's this challenge that I think we have as professionals. One of the ways that I get work done in the past, I'm sure this is true of you as well, is I had interns and junior associates do a lot of the work. And so I was managing that process and I was editing that process, I'm not creating within that process, which made me more efficient so I could spend more time with clients and yada, 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 right? I think all of that's going away.
100%.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you.
So this is going to get interesting. So anyway, I completely digress, but I appreciate your patience. So let's get into the final 5.
Sure, let's do it.
So I'm curious about, obviously you've done very well. You have your own private equity firm. You're a successful attorney. And nevertheless, you show up to work on Monday morning. The bills are paid, right? You're doing well. But if you stop working, you'd probably be okay, at least for a long time. Nevertheless, you get up on Monday morning and go to work, right? So I look at that as purpose, and I'm curious what yours is.
Yeah, great question. I think my purpose is I want to build something. I like building things, and I want to build something that outlasts me and that I could potentially give to my kids as well someday. So I've always wanted to build something. That's why I went into the private equity space myself as an entrepreneur, because I wanted to build something there. And then same thing with the law firm. I want to build it even bigger. Yeah. Help as many clients as I can, be the best in my space. I'm really competitive, want to be number one. And so that's what gets me up in the morning is I wake up scared that today I'm going to be number 2. Yeah. And that scares me more than anything in the world, that I wake up and someone says, that I get a text saying, hey, I heard you're the number 2 attorney in the country that does this work. That's the scariest text I could probably call or probably get. I want to be number 1.
Good. That's awesome. I love that. So I'm also curious about, obviously you've had people who've guided you along the way, mentors. And so I'm curious about the best advice you ever got. And who was the person that gave it to you?
Yeah, best advice was from a gentleman that I worked for in law school while I was clerking. He's a real estate attorney in Houston. His name is Brad. And Brad was a great real estate attorney. But even more, what Brad was really good at was bringing in clients to the firm. And that's what Brad taught me. He was like, look, you can be a great real estate attorney. And this is back then, this was 6 years ago. And we were still doing contracts and everything the usual way, not with AI or anything, right? And Brad said, well, you could be the best real estate attorney, but you're still going to end up being a commodity. There's still a bunch of other attorneys that can do what you do. Even if you're the best, legal work at some level is still a commodity, which is even more true today with AI. And he said that what differentiates you is your ability to bring in clients and to grow the business. And he said that's what's helped me. And that taught me at an early age that not to just focus on getting good at the actual technical aspects of the work, but also to understand how to develop business, bring in clients, get out there, be on a show like yours, right? Put my name out there to the world. A lot of attorneys don't do that. They don't do it well. And I think it's a skill that gets left out, always gets left out of law school for sure, because they usually go to law school to become lawyers and not to build businesses. But I've always been a business person at heart. So I went to law school to build a business, not just to be a lawyer.
Yeah. I have a mentor of mine who summed that up in one sentence, and that was always be of service, right?
Yes.
Because that way your clients come to rely on not only the commodity that you bring to the table, but also the human aspects and
it's all the other value adds. It's not just the legal service. Clients come to me for everything. They say, I need help raising capital, I just want legal work. I want you to introduce me to 500 new LPs. I can make that happen. I need an accountant. I need fund administration. I need this, I need that, right? I can help with all of that, right? So I'm always looking for ways what can I help you with? That's not just my pure legal services, right? I can help you. Yeah, I'm in the business. So tell me what you need. I've already have a resource for it, or I can go find you one.
I either know it or I know a guy.
Or I know a guy. Yep.
Or a gal.
Exactly.
So I'm also curious about the decisions that you've made over the years professionally. I think we learn way more from our mistakes than we do from our successes. And so I'm curious about a decision that you made along the way that you look back on now, knowing what you know today, and think, oh man, I'd love to have that one back. And how did you manage your way through that?
Yeah, I think the decision was, when we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the show, was moving to a big firm, right? Again, I'm not saying I fully regret the decision. I think I should have, though, stayed in a more of a boutique setting longer and learned more hands-on skills than going to a big firm. I wish I stayed more at the boutique level and didn't really have the hiatus firm. Though, again, it did provide value that I still use today in contacts and things like that, but I could have done without it for sure.
Yeah. And it's a different skill set, right?
But you're a cog in a machine.
Exactly.
But now I'm back where I belong. And within a year of even going back to the boutique setting, I hit 7 figures in revenue, in business within 1 year.
Yeah.
So it was just like a light switch went off and clients were just coming in from all directions. So 1 year from moving to a big firm to back to boutique.
Yeah. You were back.
Seven figures.
Yeah.
At first.
That's also a comment on your character, right? So I'm curious about how you take in information. What's the author and what's the book on your nightstand, virtual or otherwise, these?
I don't know who the author is. It's a book somebody handed me. I don't even know who gave it to me. It's been on my nightstand and I haven't had the chance to even really read past the first chapter, but it says 8 manifestations or something like that. Eight manifestations for your life. And I'm not big on this whole manifesting thing, but I think it's helpful, right? I think the mindset is what it's helpful, right? And so I've been reading that because I don't practice it enough. I don't practice the mindset enough. I'm too into the day to day. And so I'm trying to have more of how do I slow down and create, be intentional about my mindset so I can make higher level decisions.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's called. I think it's called 8. And were you able to find it?
I was just typing. It's the 8 Secrets of Powerful Manifesting, Mandy Morris.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What color is the book? Does it say what color?
Yeah, it's grayish blue.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
I'll put it on the list.
Yeah.
I'm not a Zen kind of manifesting kind of guy, but I do I absolutely believe in living life purposefully, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it helps you with a little more, is just intentionally having more purposeful thoughts, right?
Yeah.
I think I don't do that. Again, like I said, just too involved in the day to day.
Well, it's so easy to get sucked into the maelstrom that is our lives and lose sight of the bigger more important picture.
Yep.
So I'm also curious about how you define success in your life.
I think it goes back to the first question. I think to me, success, like I said, I'm very competitive. To me, success is actually being recognized as being the best in my space. Like that. I know that's not like the best. That's not like this like grounded answer,
It's okay. There's no wrong answer.
but like that to me, because it's what I've always wanted. It's not like I wanted X amount of money or an X amount of things. It's just being recognized as being the best in the space because I truly believe that the value I give to clients is the best. I don't think there's anybody else out there that can give the value that I give to clients. And I want everybody to know that. So that's what success is to me.
Right on. So when you're not talking about real estate or your legal endeavors, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, it's right behind me. I love F1. So I'm a really big F1
You live in
fan.
the right place for that.
Yeah. You can see a bunch of McLaren gear in the back. So it's my team. Love Lando Norris and F1. I love following F1. And then obviously I can't, as a sport, I can't go physically drive a race car.
Yeah.
I started playing a lot more golf. And so I've been trying to get more into it. I've never really liked the sport growing up. I regret it now because it's hard to learn a sport in your 30s. I'm like, I wish I started in high school because I really do love the sport, but man, is it hard to learn a new sport in your 30s. So just been trying to learn golf and getting better and playing more.
So I can give you a little bit of help there. I've been playing golf since I was 6, 7.
Oh my, I wish I started that early.
It's no easier that way either.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For me, it has to do with the fact that I actually had to have had talent for the sport, but no amount of work can fix the things that are wrong with my game. But it's still, there's a book, one of my favorite books, A Good Walk Spoiled. You should read it, actually. It's a very
Okay. Good.
But it talks about that playing golf isn't just about playing golf.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's competitiveness. You're not really playing the other 3 people in your foursome, right? You're playing the course. You're playing against the course.
Yeah. Well, you're playing against yourself.
And against yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some weeks where I got it, man. And I figured it out. And then I'll go back on the course and it's like I'm starting over from scratch.
Honestly, I've been there. I literally, I've been playing for 35 something years, right? More than that. And 40 something years. Oh my God. And there are days not that long ago where I stood over a ball to address and I'm like, I don't think I've ever done this before, ever. That was the feeling in my head.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've had that feeling.
Go away.
Yeah. That's what attracted me to the game. And now that I've started playing, I'm so hooked. And I think about golf every day.
Well, good. Welcome to the club. Some of us even have jackets. I don't, but some of us do. Yeah. Shams, if someone wants to get in touch with you or learn more about your firm, what's the best way to do that?
Honestly, if you Google my name, I will pop up everywhere. And that's the best way to contact me. There's a bunch of information online with my phone number, email, everything. It's all public. So just Google Shams Merchant, SHAMS Merchant. Click on the link and schedule a meeting. Give me a call, shoot me a text. I'm very easy to get a hold of. I always make myself very accessible to clients. And so you can reach out to me in a variety of different ways.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Shams Merchant, thank you so much. This was an absolute pleasure. I'm glad we finally got to meet. And I wish you nothing but the best. Continued good fortune, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ed. Love being on the show. And thanks for having me.
This has been the Real Estate Underground. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps us grow. Until next time, Undergrounders, remember your real estate journey begins with a simple step forward. Now get to it. Bye for now.